but it's going to be my, as we say in the trade, on-the-air monitor. So I've got a large picture over here to my left, so if you see me looking over to my left, you'll know that I am making sure that I am going to make this full screen. There we go, full screen. Okay, so I can just glance over there and make sure that you are seeing what you should be seeing. So, of course, I'm always curious as to who is here. Like the theme for CSI. Who are you? So we do have a delay as always, about at least 30 seconds it looks like. So that was at 7:24 on the air monitor. Let's see when the comment pops up here. There it is, so 24 minus, so about over 30 seconds looks like delay. So keep that in mind when you are asking questions, that I don't see them immediately. So we do this little countdown timer thing so that I can get everything on my end working correctly, the gestures, and make sure everything's set up. Like for example, my iPhone that I'm going to use for demonstration here is not on, so we're going to go into settings on the iPhone. Hello, Bob. Morning to you. What I'm trying to do here on my iPhone 6s Plus demo unit running iOS 15.5 is make it so it doesn't turn off. I always seem to have to figure these things out as the music winds down. So, where is it? It's probably under power or something, isn't it? Display and brightness. Control center. Ooh, I have audio coming out of my off-the-air monitor. So we gotta turn that all the way down. Okay. So it looks like the delay changes as the program progresses here. So it looks like we got about a 22-second delay. And I'm still not finding what I'm doing here. Okay, I guess I'll just have to turn it on. Well, howdy, Kurt. Oh, well, you are a pretty rowdy guy. So that was a Freudian slip, I suppose. Who else is here? We've got 9 people here. Of course, unlike Curious George. You remember Curious George, the monkey in children's books? I'm Curious George. Not really into monkey. So it's 75 degrees here in Studio A, 72 degrees at the airport. And yes, I am a frustrated weatherman. I learned a lot about weather as a sailor. Because of course, when you have a boat that runs only on wind, you need to know a lot about the weather. That's where I got into. So now I can tell by the way a flag is twirling in the breeze what the wind speed is. So, notifications on my air monitor that I have appointments this afternoon. So we're ready to get this show on the road. Hi, Carolyn. Well, we're going to learn today about Apple Notes, and that's an excellent question. So, but before we get into Apple Notes, let me welcome you to Go for Lunch number 42, the, if I can borrow something from Bob Wood, the President's Day edition. And remember that questions are the fuel that makes this vehicle go. So there are no such thing as a dumb question. So please ask your questions and I will answer them as soon as I can. So here at GoFor Technology, we want to make your technology work for you, and we've been doing that since 1983. That just blows my mind that I've been helping people since 1983 in several different companies. I am continually learning. I'm trying to teach you things, but at the same time, I am being taught. And my current place of learning is the PodFest Global Summit. And that's next week. This week, as part of that event, is called VidFest Global. So that's been going on since yesterday. So I've been learning a lot about how better to present information to you. So hopefully you'll see these presentations get better from what I have learned in the this weekend, next week. The reason I do this is because you know, I go through my day and I see things and I'm saying, gee, I'd like to tell everybody that I work with about those things. So one of the things that popped up this week is a um, app called Robo Killer. Now, every cell phone carrier has a free app. Verizon has one, AT&T has one, and T-Mobile will have one. So you can get a free app that is supposed to block robocalls, but they don't work real well. They'll block some. So if you want something that's a little better, unfortunately, you get what you pay for. So I have been using one called No Mo Robo, and it works pretty well. But I learned about this new one, and I think it works better. And of course, it is a subscription. But the reason that it was brought to my attention was that there is a discount right now through a website called Mac Heist. Heist as in to steal something, a bank heist. But this is the Mac Heist, and so they're offering 1, 2, or 3-year subscriptions to Robo Killer. And that link is conveniently located right down there. So after this is over, you can click on that link, and if you want to subscribe. So what Robo Killer does, more than the other ones that I've tried, is they actually engage the callers, the telemarketers, and they have these bots or robots, these recorded voices. The one that's in the ad for Mac Heist, that the link to which you can find in the comments below. The guy, allegedly answering the sales call is saying, "There's a shark circling around my boat," and the telemarketer saying, "Hit him on the nose." So obviously that was an example of them engaging the telemarketer and tying up their time so they couldn't bother somebody else. So if you're interested, there's a deal. I don't make any money on this. I'm just trying to keep you informed so that your life will be a little better. So, Apple Notes. Apple Notes you already own because it comes included in your system on your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac. So we've talked about it a little bit before, but as I mentioned, questions is what fuel questions are, what fuel this. I need a Grammarly that works in my brain here while I'm talking. Questions fuel the engine of this presentation. So this presentation, Apple Notes, came from a question that one of you asked last week. So that's how important questions are. Keep them coming in. And I got another question that will be the theme for a future program last week too. So I appreciate that. And keep those cards and letters coming in. So we're going to jump right into Apple Notes. And we're going to go to my iPhone here, which is on iOS 15.5, which is still in beta. And I have to unlock it. Okay. So Apple Notes is the little icon there below the temperature widget with the yellow border on top and the two horizontal lines below that, looking like a little notepad with real lines on it. So I unfortunately don't have a pointer on the iPhone, so I'm going to do my very best to describe what I'm seeing. And while we're doing that, I want to welcome Betty. Hello, Betty. And the famous Phil and Phyllis show. They're here. And Here's a unpaid testimonial from Phil that he has RoboKiller. And this is a good question, Betty. You need to contact your landline provider and see if they have any solutions. I don't know of any off the top of my head, but I think I've heard that if you are in, if you're getting your phone from your cable company, the cable companies may have something. But if you're getting your phone from CenturyLink, then they do have a screening feature that you can put on your phone line so that it screens all your calls, which supposedly will get rid of telemarketers, but then it's really a pain for your friends to get to you. So there's no free lunch, so to speak. So let's get back to our notes on our iPhone. So the question that prompted this presentation was some of my notes are on my iPhone, but they're not on my Mac or my iPad. And the reason for that is that on your iOS devices, you are given the choice of where those notes can reside. So as you see there on the top in bold black letters, it says iCloud. So all the folders below there are in iCloud, which means they will automatically sync to your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac. But on the lower section there, where it says on my iPhone, those notes are only on your iPhone. And if you're on an iPad, it's going to say on my iPad. Same thing is true. They're only on your iPad. But you can move those notes if you want them to all be synced so you can see them everywhere. So let's just, I'm going to tap on all on my iPhone here. There's 59 notes there. So don't ask me what that first note means. I could only guess. So in fact, some of these notes, I'm not sure what they are. So as you can see, there's a date in the second line of each note in hard to read gray type or font. So you can see that the second note here, you go. I was sending somebody an address, and that was in December of 2019. So let's say we want to move that note. So we tap on the note, and then in the upper right-hand corner, there's a circle with 3 horizontal dots. We tap on that, and it is not immediately apparent how to move a note until you scroll down. Now, in this case, it was on the initial screen. However, in some cases, you won't see it until you scroll up. So we're going to tap on Move Note. Okay. And there we go. So now we have choices of where we can move the note. So if we want this to be synced between all of our devices, obviously we want to move it to iCloud, which is the top section. We can also create a new folder here. So if we tap on New Folder, there's a new folder, and we're going to call this folder Demo. So I'll know to trash it after we're done. And I'm going to click on Save in the lower right-hand corner. And so now when I go back here, and the tapping in the upper left-hand corner to all on my iPhone, then we should see that note. So these notes are chronological, and so we're going to go down here and see if that worked. And obviously I either missed it, so there's 2014, that was in 2019, there's 2000, there it is. Well, that's the same address, but that's not the note here. I should have made a change to the notes, so it would have gone up to the top of the list because it's chronological. But as you can see, that note, which was like the third one down, is no longer there. So we're going to assume that it went somewhere else. So the moral to this story is you can move a note that's on the on my iPhone section to the iCloud section, and it will be synced to all of your devices. Okay, now I understand this may be a little hard to read, but if you'll notice on the 4th and 5th folder in the iCloud section, there's a little circle on the folder icon. What does that mean? Well, when we tap on the GoFor Gazette, for example, then in the top right, we see a bigger version of that little circle with a silhouette in it. We tap on that in the upper right corner. And that shows us that we are sharing this note or this folder of notes with Alexis Garrett, who happens to be the producer of the GoFor Gazette and GoFor Lunch. So anytime I put a note in a folder that I have shared, Alexis automatically gets notified and sees that note. So how might you use this? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that you could use it for a grocery list. So if you have more than one person that's doing grocery shopping, you can all add to the list. And then when whoever goes to the grocery store buys the things on the list, they could put a check mark, or they could delete that item, however your system wants to work. And then you are always up to date with that list. So there's obviously a lot of other similar applications where notes can come in very handy. So you can see here that at the bottom of the or the center of the screen, it says stop sharing, so I can turn that off at any time. So you are in complete control of that. I'm going to touch the X in the top right to get back to the GoFor Gazette folder, and then I'm going to touch in the top left to get back to all of the folders. So let's look at see what else we can learn here from you. So for some reason, when I click on a comment, the wrong comment comes up first. So Phil Davis says that in all iCloud section that the notes are all entered on the date they are created. So that's very good. So, and he also wants to know, can I sort my list in all the folders? So do you mean sort the folders or inside a folder? If you could clarify that, Phil, I would appreciate it. So while we're waiting for Phil, notice in the top right is the word edit. So what edit means, and this is kind of like sorting, but you'll see to the right of the folders that are highlighted, there's 3 horizontal lines. And what that allows you to do is move those notes. So this is a way that you could sort them. So I'm just touching the 3 horizontal lines. I'm moving it up, and now it's in a different order. So for example, I can touch on the 3 horizontal lines on the right side on demo and just drag it down to the very bottom like that. So, okay, so Phil wants to know, can we sort notes inside a folder? And I'm going to click on done here to get out of the folder there, to get out of the edit mode. So let's just open a folder here, like GoFor Lunch. Oh, look, there's another note that's in the wrong folder. So we're just going to touch that note, Dr. Harrison's newsletter. Then we're going to touch the circle in the upper right-hand corner with the 3 horizontal dots. And see, this is what I was talking about. Because I had more information in this note, the move note option is not visible on the screen until we scroll up a little bit. So we're going to tap on Move Note, and then we're just going to put that in the General Notes category, which is at the top here. So we're going to touch on that. And this is saying that moving the note will change who can read and edit it. So it's saying that it's taking it out of a shared folder into a non-shared area, but that's fine. So we're going to say move anyway, and so now we've got that out of the Go for Lunch folder. So to answer Phil's question, inside the folder, can you sort? And I think the answer is you can sort notes by, you see here where it says sort notes by default. So if we click on that, you can sort them within a folder by date edited, date created, title, or newest first, or oldest first. So hopefully that answers your question. And Phil added that I can list all the folders and they are alphabetical, however, not in the iCloud folder. Oh, okay. So we are going to hit the X here in the upper right-hand corner. And we are going to hit folders in the upper left-hand corner. And we are now in the iCloud folder, which I just closed. So it does not appear that you can sort inside the iCloud folder. You can only sort inside folders. So that looks like the way that works. So Phil also has noted that we have a gallery view, which is good to know about. So if we click on All iCloud, we can click on the circle in the upper right hand corner, and we can view as a gallery instead of a list. So that's what the gallery looks like. So it gives you a little more information. You can see the first part of the note, which will help you recognize what you're looking for. So that's another great feature of notes. So there we are. And thank you for those questions, Phil. I appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody else does as well. So any other questions about notes? Give me your questions, or if you have a question about anything that we could talk about today, this would be a good time to talk about those questions. So while we're waiting for that, let me remind you to share the Gopher Gazette with your friends, your family, your neighbors, your enemies, everybody. It goes out every Monday about 7 o'clock. That's our newsletter that gives you the link to each Tuesday's edition of Go for Lunch, as well as links to our past YouTube live programs. So at the bottom of the Gopher Gazette, you'll see the most recent programs with their topics and a direct link to that particular program. So it's we're trying to make it real easy for you to go back and you think, oh, I remember Roger talked about that a couple weeks ago. You can find the recent ones right there. And then in the newsletter, if you click on the YouTube logo, it will give you our whole list of 42 Gopher Lunch episodes, as well as the Gopher Tech Bulletin, which gives you some other information. As always, I have a mask, and I will travel to you to help you with whatever you need right where you are. Some things we can do with screen sharing. So I will do that when we can. but there are certain things we can't do remotely. So either way, I have several appointments this afternoon that I'm going to go help people with various problems. Also, if you could give us a thumbs up on the YouTube there, that would help us, as well as clicking that subscribe if you haven't already done so. And there's a little bell next to subscribe that will notify you when we put videos up. In fact, today I was thinking about, while I was listening to some of the content of the PodFest and VidCon, that, you know, there might just be random things that I might talk about. Like, for example, I've been using 3 different prepared food delivery services. So I might share my experiences with that. So Phil has a question here. And let's see what he has to say. Does 1Password app go to 2 computers? Yes. 1Password is very generous. So, for example, I have 1Password on at least 2 Mac Minis, 2 MacBook Pros, several iPhones and iPads. I used to have it on a Windows machine, but I gave that to my friends in Mexico for their kids to go to school, and an Android tablet. I have 1 Android device just so I can know how clumsy they are. So, yes, 1Password works everywhere you need it, including iPhones and iPads. It's a little more work to do it on an iPhone. It's not quite as seamless on an iPhone and an iPad, but it does work. I do recommend that you use 1Password in parallel with keychain access, which works on the Mac and iOS devices. And especially on iOS devices, if you save your passwords in keychain access as well as 1Password, then it will pop up faster in iOS on keychain than it does on 1Password. So Phil has another great question here. How do I add my notes to iCloud? Well, you just let's fire up the old iPhone here again and get back to notes. I know a lot of us are having problems with our fingerprints not working, and I just want you to know that I'm one of those persons. So Phil, to get back to iCloud, you would, if they're on your iPhone and you want to get it to iCloud, so let's take this note here, Nightingale Vet at Burns. Again, not sure what that means. I'm guessing Nightingale is a name of a veterinarian at the Burns Pet Clinic, but doesn't ring any bells with me. So we're going to click on the circle in the upper right hand corner. We're going to scroll down so we can plainly see Move Note. We're going to click on Move Note, and we're going, so all of these first notes here are in iCloud. So now if I just click on Notes under iCloud, and it's gone. So now if we go back to folders, we go here to notes on iCloud, and again I should have made a change to that so that it would sort to the top, and I didn't. And the other thing that might be going on here is it probably does not sync immediately, but there it is. Nightingale Vet at Burns Pet Clinic is now in the iCloud. So that's a little tip, maybe if you want to move a note, you might want to make it a slight change so it gives it a new. Okay, so Carolyn, I did a extensive program in 1Password recently. So here's another little wrinkle that I didn't mention on that program, and that is 1Password for an individual, again, on all your devices, is $2.98 a month, I think, less than $3 a month. So that's a good deal, but they bill you by the year, which saves everybody time and money. So another thing you can do, and I just did this for a client this last week, is they have a family plan, which is less than $6 a month, five something, probably $5.95. And that is good for 5 people. Count them, 5 people. So if you wanted to spread that out with your significant other, your children, your grandchildren, people in your family, then it's even cheaper per person. So that's pretty much what it costs. The next part of that question is, do you really need it? So again, I'm going to use this client that I helped last week. She had lots of passwords in lots of places that were either the same or very similar. So another thing that 1Password does, and when you watch the 1Password episode, you'll find all this out. It has a feature called Watchtower. And Watchtower will not only tell you where you reuse the same password so that you can put a unique, secure password in, and it will also tell you where you're using a password that's easy for the hacker to guess. So that I think is worth the cost of entry alone, just to get your passwords, number 1, unique, and number 2, strong like an ox. So I think it's worth it, and they keep track of data breaches, so they'll automatically notify you if someplace like Home Depot, for example, has a data breach again. Then you can change your password right away. So Jean has a good question. Is iCloud Keychain a reasonable alternative to 1Password? And I would have to say no, because iCloud Keychain is user hostile. It lists, it doesn't ever forget anything. So if you change your password, your old password will be in a list, and the password before that, and the password before that. So it's user hostile. It's not easy to use. When you go in, every time, again, when I was helping this client last week, I was getting their passwords out of Keychain to put them into 1Password. Every time you have to get to see a password in Keychain, you have to put in your computer password to see it. Whereas in 1Password, you just click on it and it clicks up and says, reveal. You can reveal it, and after you've entered your 1Password, you don't have to be putting a password in every time you do something inside 1Password. So it is acceptable. Keychain is acceptable. It's built into the operating system, but it's built for programmers. They also store other things in there besides password. They put in certificates and other odd stuff that doesn't make any sense to human beings. Not saying programmers aren't human beings, but they could be aliens. We don't know. So 1Password is much more user-friendly. So, any other questions? Well, you guys have been great today. You've been asking lots of questions, which makes the program more useful for everybody. And, I learned a few things, answering Phil's questions, for example, which is always good. So, without further ado, I think we're going to wrap this program up. As they say in the industry, we'll put it in the can. Remember that discount, which I don't make any money on, I'm just helping you out, for RoboKiller, the app that kills robocalls, is in the description below. So, and that is a limited time promotion. So if you're interested in it, you should take advantage of it. And I think I figured out if you buy the 3-year subscription, it's like $1, less than $1 a month. So cheaper than a cup of coffee once a month. So very good. I hope you guys will enjoy the rest of your day as the sun keeps shining and the temperature keeps climbing. See you next week, high noon, for Go for Lunch number 43.